Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tough game against Vegas here. The Jets fall 5-2, and that first period really just sunk the Jets. Combination between bad goaltending, poor defense, and the inability to enter the offensive zone led to a pretty ugly first period, and Vegas scored 4 goals. Not great. Let's talk about it. So Dave Riddick makes his first start as a Jet. This has been a decision that's been scrutinized since the offseason, since July 1st, when Eric Comrie walked to free agency as a UFA. If he had played 2 more games under the Jets last season, he would have been an RFA. He would have been able to have been tendered and then probably given a contract maybe worth $600K more than what Dave Riddick has. So obviously Comrie's killing it over there in Buffalo. He had a really big game, and I believe it was like 45 of 46 stops. Good for him. And Riddick comes out today. He's got a lot of pressure on him, and unfortunately it did not work out tonight. To say the least, it was not very good, with a combination of just poor situations. Vegas had a 3-on-1 where I believe it was Jack Eichel scoring the first goal of the game, Dylan DeMello getting caught and kind of leaving Stanley out to dry a little bit on the 3-on-1. Not ideal. And then the third goal actually went off Dylan's skate and in, and then the fourth one, I don't know, Pionk just passed it to him. I don't know why he did that. And then instead of maybe covering it or throwing it somewhere safer, Dave shot it right down the middle of the ice, and that got picked off by Eichel, and he whipped through another one there. So not an ideal first period, to say the least. It was pretty ugly, and I hope that's the ugliest period we see from the Jets this year. That was pretty bad. But, full credit to the Jets. I thought they were going to fold a little bit and just kind of turn into last year's Jets and not really care, but that's not really what happened, actually. They came out a little bit hungry, despite being noticeably tired, and that's a little bit worrying to me. It's game 4 of the year. I know obviously back-to-backs are tough on players, and it's always noticeable most of the time, but I mean, it's game 4. These guys haven't played a ton of hockey yet, and to look that tired, kind of concerning. But obviously, up in Colorado, the air is super thin, right, with the elevation, so I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. Morrissey looked very tired today, looked very sore. He was playing injured. Of course, Stanley's in there because Sandberg's hurt. So a lot of stuff going on here. But yeah, a lot of guys look very tired. Besides that, though, Jets were able to score, make it 4-1. Pierre-Luc Dubois' first of the year. That's all they were able to muster into the second period. And now going into the third, Vegas kind of just backed off a bit, just trying to play as defensive as possible. Not really putting any risk into their game, and rightfully so. Why should they? They've got a 3-goal cushion. Neil Pionk did score off a deflection on his skate, so he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games. Good for Neil Pionk. Shout out to you. It was 4-2 Jets. They were pressing. They pull the goaltender, and Vegas, right at the end of the game, does make it 5-2, and that would be your final. So, pretty ugly game. After the first, though, Riddick wasn't tested really a ton, but when he was tested, he did make very nice saves. I'm really happy that he was able to put away the first period, and the coaching staff let him go out there, regain a little bit of confidence, hopefully. And I was happy with the rest of the game from him. He was steady enough. He didn't really need to do a whole lot. Vegas wasn't pressing that crazy, but a couple nice stops by Riddick, and hopefully this game didn't completely destroy his confidence, and we'll be looking for a bounce back game in the future from Big Safe Dave. I don't know, guys. I'm not loving this back and forth thing that the Jets are doing early on in the year here. Obviously tonight, I guess you can make an exception with the back-to-back, although not really an excuse. You got to be ready and prepared for every single game, right? Obviously not having Rick bonus, I'm curious on how much that is impacting these games. I'd love to see what the team looks like with Rick behind the bench. Scott O'Neill's fine, but obviously he's not the head coach right now. And hopefully we'll get Bones back Saturday. As far as I'm concerned, that is the plan. That's what I've heard on Twitter and everywhere else, so hopefully that is true. Yeah, I don't know though, guys. This team is perplexing to me because my worry is that this team doesn't have enough appropriate depth to fill into the top 6 when there is an injury in the top 6. In this case being Nikolai Ehlers, who I really hope is back soon because the Jets look like they desperately missed his speed, especially against Vegas. You can throw Colorado into that too. They definitely missed him there. But Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor just don't seem to have that chemistry together that Scheifele and Ehlers do. You know, I wonder if that line could maybe be split up a little bit and you could have a complementary player like Mason Appleton into the top 6. But it's just the fact that, do you really want Mason Appleton in your top 6, right? You know, he is doing fine. He played really well against Colorado, but again, in this Vegas game, did look pretty invisible. I was a little bit worried coming into the season that if the teams would go and lock down that top line of Ehlers, Scheifele, Connor, then what happens with the rest of the lineup? But this is the thing that's kind of worried me, you know, throughout the offseason and through the first 4 games here. If the first line isn't putting up numbers and they're getting shut down, the Jets really don't have a lot of offensive depth past that. That second line has started to pick it up a little bit, really supported by Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti's carrying that line. He looks really good. That's getting lost in a lot of the talk with the poor defense and everything else, but really liking Cole Perfetti. You know, Dubois just isn't quite there yet for me. Just a slow start, you know, obviously lots of games to go here. And Wheeler, you know, he's been fine in a reduced role, but you would like him to be a little bit more involved at this point, although, you know, Wheeler is notorious for his slow starts, so maybe as the games go on, he will get better. I hope so. But yeah, I don't know. You just can't really rely on that bottom 9 lines as much as you can your first line, obviously. That line is incredible. But I wonder if the Jets look to maybe move around the lines a little bit if they do struggle to find offense. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts on the game and just a little bit, I don't know, just of my thoughts on the Jets so far this season. I have liked quite a bit of what they've done, and I do like this team's structure better than last season's. However, there are stuff that are lingering from the last season and, you know, from seasons past with the, you know, poor defensive transition and stuff like that. I'm hoping that that stuff can get rectified once Bones is back. Maybe he'll, I don't know, straighten it out. Maybe he'll do something different than what Scott Arniel was doing. But that will be seen later on in the week. And I hope that the Jets can get healthy. A lot of guys looked like they might be banged up out there. Just get in the ice baths, and we'll see what happens in Toronto. But that is where I am going to leave it today, guys. Leave your thoughts on the game in the comments below. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.